Hey guys, we're doing another summary video of the last day, which was a bit crazy. Um, so the night before, it was just like late night dancing and drinking and breaking curfew, literally. um, my host mom was like, "How did you come back so late without the police finding you?" And I'm like, "I got connections, I guess." And actually, the next morning when I met up with Hannah and Brian, they asked the same thing, and they're just like, "How are you doing this, man?" And I'm like, "I got connections," which apparently I do. So anyway, I had a big night. Uh, Good morning. Met up with Brian and Hannah, and they wanted to take me downtown and kind of show me around downtown Nairobi. And so we got in the car, and there's tons of traffic, which I'm a little bit used to, after China and Turkey and some other places I've been. Um, Seems like traffic's pretty nasty everywhere there's a big city. So we finally make it in downtown, and man, the sun was a scorcher. And Hannah's also pale, and so we were like jumping around trying to find, the shadows of the buildings, which is a excellent technique that used to use in Istanbul and a few other countries. So we did that, and then we check in with Brian's friend and drop off all of our valuables, and then we walk down to the river, Nairobi River, right through the middle of downtown, and it is a cesspool. Like, I'm not sure I've ever seen anything so cesspooly, so deserving of the term cesspool. It is just, it's like concrete embankments down, and it's just garbage after garbage after garbage. I mean, piles of garbage so big and so thick that like the underlayer is like already like decomposing into like almost like a soil-like material, and the river itself has like bags and plastic stuff and car parts and that was another thing. To get down to the river, we have to walk through this basically like this big muddy expanse that's basically all the mechanics, all the car mechanics and stuff in town. And there's people like spray painting cars like chrome silver and gold, and just it was like something out of a movie, really, and which, movies follow reality. So great piece of culture to experience, just the way that all these things work. And so then we meandered our way through literally walking across gigantic piles of garbage. And then it's super hot, and then there's a breeze that comes in, and you can see off in the distance, there's rows of corn, which is called maize here, and trees. And the temperature drops, and some shade appears, and we go back into this little area that's like a farm. And there's this woman by the name of Rebecca, Kenyon, and she apparently worked for the government and has a job that she worked with like a team of people, and each person got an area, and they had to plant a certain number of trees. And she ended up getting downtown Nairobi, and there's no soil in downtown Nairobi. She's like, the only place literally that I could plant any trees is right here along the river. It's the only place where they actually had exposed ground that wasn't just concrete. And so she gathered up all these people and moved, literally got hand carted gigantic piles of garbage from point A to point B, about 100 meters, and made a bigger pile at the 100-meter mark. And then she scraped the soil down, cleaned it all up, and started planting. And she started planting her trees. She started planting corn, cilantro, tomatoes, carrots, like the whole gamut. And there's a little shack there up against the wall, and there's a bunch of adults that are, I don't actually know the specific details, but I get the impression that they were unemployed, and they kind of got wrapped into this program because they believe in it, which is awesome. And that's kind of how Brian connected with it. And then Brian brought all this maize flour, and then they got this gigantic pot over the fire, and he cooks that all up with the water, and basically just makes this kind of cornmeal paste, which they called Nairobi cake. And then they also put in a bunch of oil and tomatoes from the farm, kale, cilantro, onions, a bunch of other stuff from the farm, and kind of made up this like little vegetable hash. And then over open coals. And so as this was cooking, the flavors are wafting through the air, going down the river. And then as we're sitting there, like rows and rows, and these young children start appearing because they know that food is about to be on. And that was really cool. And then once they kind of gave them the thumbs up, they came and they all lined up and they made them wash their hands, and they went through and they kind of doled out little plates and saucers of like a big pile of the cornmeal maize paste, and then the hash stuff on the side. And then these kids, eat it with their hands, and it was just, they're very thankful. There's a lot of positive energy going back and forth and joking around and kidding and all that kind of stuff. But the thing that was stunning and really hard for me personally was these kids were carrying around little, like half-size soda bottles, and I thought that they were water bottles at first, but they're all like carrying them in their mouth, and eventually I realized that it's that's where the glue is, and so they use the glue for like shoes, model cement, this kind of stuff. That smell that I got a bunch as a kid and could barely stand it when I'm making plastic airplane models or whatever. And there was a point where I was actually surrounded by 3 or 4 kids, and the smell of the glue in the air was almost overpowering for me, and I'm like, 2 feet taller than any of them. And these kids are just 24/7 sniffing this, and it's a real tragedy. And that's why people like Hannah and Brian and Maxwell was there, and Rebecca, and just dozens of these people are like, they're out there fighting this like every single day. And Hannah saw a kid, a little 4-year-old, that she was super proud of the fact that she had managed to find this kid a spot in a boys' home, and because the conversion rate of breaking the addiction and getting them into a place where they're employable and kind of maybe reconnect with the families, that rate is really high. And so she was really happy to get one of the youngest kids into one of these programs. And then as she was sitting there, planting trees and doing some other stuff, she sees this same kid, and it broke her heart. And she's just like, we jumped through all these hoops for this kid, and now he's back on the street, and don't know what's going to happen. They're going to track it down. They're going to call the school. They're going to try and talk to the child next time they see him and that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of people here that are doing really, really good work, and it is touching to see and inspiring and heartbreaking, and it is just like a great big sledgehammer to perspective and like feelings of, it's the kind of thing that like I almost believed was like barely possible, to have that many. I mean, there's 30-40 kids, and maybe all but 2 or 3 were very, very high, to the point that like you could barely communicate. Their mind is just barely present. And I hardly thought that such a thing was possible, and here it is. It's just like very possible and very common, and there's a lot of good people fighting. And that's just, I don't know, I don't even have the words to describe how much respect and admiration and awe I have for the wherewithal and the determination and the heart that these people have. We're going back tomorrow, and we're going to bring some presents, and all right, I need to go get a football, and bring some presents, play some games, sing some songs, make more food again. And this time the kids know me, and so I think I will actually have the ability to turn the camera on. But yesterday, being the first time that I was there, they didn't know me, and so the camera was kind of like, we're just going to like let this go. But I definitely want to see if I get a chance to document it, to kind of help get the word out, to help these people. Anyway, so that was just very profound experience. And after that, we go back into town. Hannah and I both got like really sunburned, and then so we're walking in, we're just like, need water, like sun draining energy, warrior needs food badly. And Brian takes us up to this restaurant called Kilimanjaro, which apparently is Somali, and they make this great big gigantic tawa that's probably 30 inches across, and it has chapati and 3 types of rice and noodles and sambar and tikka masala and tandoori chicken and goat something, and this green stuff in the middle with like red strands in it. There was either like peppers or tomatoes, and I'm looking at that and I'm just like, what's that, guys? And they're like, oh, that's guacamole. And I'm like, WTF? why is there guacamole in the middle of this whole thing? Anyway, nobody else would like the guacamole, so I ate all that. It was really good. It's among the best guacamole I've ever had, actually. And then we worked our way home, and through all the traffic, and and I basically got back home, talked with Beatrice for a little bit about kind of the logistics with Christmas and other things, and then the sun goes down at 7, and I sit there in my room, and I'm just like, I'm feeling the tired, jet lag or the power of the day or whatever, and I just crashed. Woke up at like 3 a.m. and then just started working, reading, doing stuff on the phone, all that jazz. Napped for a little bit before kind of everybody else woke up. So that's a summary of my day yesterday, and it was a big deal, and I'm super thankful. There's just no words for the amount of gratitude I have for this experience I'm having here, and it's definitely helping. And once again, the universe is just putting pieces together all around me, lining stuff up, and it's just phenomenal to see. Let go. Let go. Let the universe do its work, and amazing things will happen. All right, guys. Peace out.